A very good evening to all our viewers. It's Sunday the 2nd of July and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our News Studios in Colombo. I'm Muthuraja. As always, let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Many factions allege that the president has taken over Parliament's power to control finances under the guise of domestic debt optimization.
ජනතාව සම්පූර්ණ රැවටීමකට භාජනය කළා මේ කූට වැඩපිළිවෙල ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම තමයි රජයේ අභිප්‍රායේ වුණේ.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තිබෙන මූල්‍යමය බලතලය ඊයේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පැවරීමේ යෝජනාව තමයි ඊයේ ගෙනා.
Parliament does not have a mandate of the people. A statement from the Archbishop of Colombo.
මම අභියෝග කරනවා ඒ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පුළුවන් නම් ඡන්දෙ ඉල්ලලා බලන්න කියලා ඔයගලන්ගේ ආසන ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා.
Muthuraja lands in Thailand. Another list of beneficiaries under the Aswasama program to be released next Tuesday. French protests intensify. French president holds special meeting to discuss the crisis. Sri Lanka qualify for the ICC World Cup 2023.
And now the stories in detail. Several factions allege that the power of controlling the finances of the country has been handed over to the president under the guise of domestic debt optimization program. Now, several factions expressed these views in response to the proposal that was passed in Parliament yesterday.
A proposal to allow the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies to grant all approvals needed for the domestic debt optimization program was passed in Parliament yesterday. 122 votes were cast in favour of the proposal, while 62 votes were cast against it. 40 parliamentarians were absent when the matter was taken up for the vote. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, United National Party and the Ceylon Workers' Congress voted in favour of this proposal. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya, the Jatika Jana Balawegaya, Tamil National Alliance, Tamil National People's Front, the Uttara Lanka Sabagaya and the Freedom People's Congress voted against the proposal. However, SJB parliamentarians AHM Fauzi and Vadivel Suresh, parliamentarian Duminda Dissanayake from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and Kumara Velgama from the New Lanka Freedom Party and independent MPs in Parliament, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, Sudarshani Fernandopulle, Priyankara Jayaratne, John Senaviratne, ALM Ataullah and Nimal Lanza voted in favour of the proposal. Although opposition MP Sabri Rahim had previously said that he will vote against the government, he too voted in favour of the proposal. Former President Maithripala Sirisena, leader of the Jatika Jana Balawegaya Anura Kumara Dissanayake, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Chamal Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa were not present in Parliament during the vote.
Professor G.L. Piris, who entered Parliament on the SLPP ticket and later broke away and formed the Freedom People's Congress, commented on the proposal that was passed yesterday.
Sri Lanka Podujana Peramune.
Several notable figures from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna were not present when the vote took place. It is clear that this proposal that was brought went against the conscience of these parliamentarians. Since the beginning, they had a two-faced approach. The governor of the central bank gave an analysis of the result of this and presented it to the country. But that is not the truth. That is just a fairy tale. The truth behind this was included somewhere else. The truth was in the cabinet paper that was presented to the cabinet by the Minister of Finance. According to the cabinet paper, the Minister of Finance will be given unfettered power to decide on interest rates and to decide on whether or not a bond will be extended after it reaches maturity. In short, unlimited powers on managing bonds will be given to the Minister of Finance. The governor of the central bank did not inform the people of this country anything about this. They tried to do this in secret. By this, the legal owners of the money that is in the Employees' Provident Fund cannot decide or even voice their opinion regarding their money. That is not a policy that we can support. The Honourable Opposition Leader decided to go to the Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance and raise questions to find out the truth behind this. But the Opposition Leader was silenced and not allowed to say anything. This is not something that can happen in Parliament in any democratic country. What are they trying to do? They have closed down the entire country for 5 days and given people holidays. The intention of the government was to deceive the people and implement this program. The government used their majority in Parliament and dealt a deadly blow to the people of this country.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවට මරු පහරක් ඊයේ එල්ල කරා.
The Samagi Jana Balavege also spoke about the proposal that was passed yesterday.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේට තිබෙන මූල්‍යමය බල
The proposal to transfer the financial powers of Parliament to the President was brought yesterday. What's the need for a Parliament now? He has the executive powers. The Parliament is the legislature of the country. The country's finances are vested with the Parliament. The President is not a member of Parliament. Why is Parliament spending millions per day just to meet? Ranil Wickremesinghe has made Parliament a powerless body. This is a serious act against democracy. The Rajapaksa and Wickremesinghe administration is trying to slowly take our country towards a dictatorship. Remember that yesterday was the day that parliamentary democracy died in Sri Lanka. The Speaker in Parliament is supposed to be the Speaker for all members of the House. But we saw the Speaker acting as if he was the Speaker of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Party leaders and secretaries of Parliament decided yesterday to hold parliamentary sessions until 9:30 p.m. While 7 speakers in the opposition hadn't yet spoken in Parliament, the Speaker adjourned sessions at 7:30 p.m. These are serious anti-democratic moves. I believe that someone is manipulating the Speaker. The Rajapaksas were not seated in Parliament yesterday. We don't know if the Rajapaksas are preparing to play a new game now.
අපි දන්නේ නැහැ රාජපක්ෂවරු දැන් මේ අලුත් ගේමක් ගහන්න හදනවාද කියලා.
The Jatika Jana Balavege also expressed their stance regarding the resolution that was passed yesterday.
It is the bonds issued by the government to the central bank or the treasury bills that have been converted into long-term bonds. The same goes for private funds, including the Employees' Provident Fund. However, it is clearly stated in the agreement signed between the International Monetary Fund and the government that the government is obligated to treat all external creditors transparently and equally. They treat the Employees' Fund in one way, and then there are 17 other brokers who deal with the central bank and are part of the same bond process, including Perpetual Treasuries, which is owned by the son-in-law of Arjuna Mahendran. They are treated differently. Primary traders like Perpetual Treasuries purchase bonds using the money of the central bank itself. They buy the bonds from the primary market at 30% interest and they sell it in the secondary market to the central bank at an interest rate of only 10%. The bonds purchased by the EPF get an interest rate of only 9%, but primary dealers get 22%. Is this fair? As usual, they are protecting their corrupt friends. When banks issue shares in the future, due to the crisis, it is the same friends who will purchase these shares. The government will take the next step as well, because the government has no other alternative.
The national organizer of the UNP for the Maskele electorate and President's Chief of Staff Sagala Rathnayaka spoke about the domestic debt optimization program.
There have been many stories regarding debt restructuring. Some say all their deposits will be lost. The ETF will be lost. Finally, when we reveal the program, they have nothing to say about it. We presented this to the Parliament. It wasn't necessary, but we presented it. From now on, no one can say anything against it, because that is the place where all 225 representatives are present. The president from one party is working with a group from another party, and everyone has been invited to join him. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will provide the leadership. We will develop this country, develop our lives, and build a future for these young children.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Nama Rajapaksha, speaking at the Sri Lanka Podujana Peremuna's Gaul electorate, said that there is a difference between the policies of his party and some decisions taken by the government.
We know that the political party of Ranil Wickremesinghe and his political vision is a political vision that suits the upper middle wealthy class. His political policies are also the same. The United National Party was built with the wealthy class. It was not with the political parties that you and I and the working people of this country represent. The responsibility of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna right now is to convert the decision taken by Ranil Wickremesinghe to stabilize the economy into decisions that are people friendly. We are not only fighting for it internally, we are standing up for it as well.
Meanwhile, the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, also spoke about the proposal that was passed in Parliament yesterday.
This proposal was not something that was approved with the consent of a majority of the people in this country. Under this proposal, the Minister of Finance, in this case the President, has been given the power to do whatever he wants with this money. This is a parliament that does not have a mandate. I challenge this parliament to hold an election and see if you can win your electorates. Recently, the President is saying that he is going to extend the Colombo port to Dikkovita. This man is dreaming. What are these dreams? Are these things that can be done? They can't even control the port that we have, and they are selling it to foreign countries. The aim is to destroy this entire stretch of Pamunugama and Muthuraja and destroy this entire area and sell it off to foreigners. They will earn from these deals and have fun in their lives and then die. But the people of this country will have nothing left.
His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit expressed these views attending a ceremony to bless a statue of Lord Jesus and St. Anthony built along the Sarakua coast.
Muthuraja or Saksurin, a tusker gifted from Thailand to Sri Lanka, was returned to Thailand on Sunday. Muthuraja was taken back to Thailand in a 5-hour flight from the Rathnayaka International Airport.
Months at the Dehiwala Zoo. He was taken back to Thailand last night on board a Russian cargo plane. Foreign media reported that the tusker landed in Thailand this afternoon. The government of Thailand has made arrangements to quarantine the tusker at a forest reserve. Thai authorities had gifted Muthuraja to Sri Lanka in 2001. This tusker grew up at the Kandeviharya temple. Muthuraja's health had been deteriorating over several years, and last year the tusker suffered an ailment in its legs. The tusker was inspected by officials of the Thai embassy on a number of occasions. Last year, Thai officials demanded Muthuraja's return after receiving reports of the tusker's further deteriorating health conditions. Muthuraja had the longest pair of tusks among tame tuskers in Sri Lanka. For over 2 decades, Muthuraja had been a part of Sri Lanka's Peraharas and added colour to these cultural events. The repatriation of the tusker Muthuraja or Saksurin made headlines on several international media outlets as well. Thai PBS World News carried this story under the headline "Mission to Bring Saksurin Home." The headline carried by France 24 read, "Neglected elephant touches down in Thai homeland after flight."
News first with the people.
Sri Lanka secures its place in the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. Details coming up after this short commercial break. Stay with News First.
The local government election was sacrificed in the name of stability.
In order to achieve economic stability, there needs to be political stability in the country. What we see is, things like broadcasting bill being brought, things like anti-terrorism bill being brought, high security zone acts being brought, anti-corruption bills being brought, like very, very piecemeal bills that are being brought.
We need to look at how we could democratize whole parties of the country, and inner party democracy is a must.
Right now, the people of Sri Lanka are paying for the past.
First of all, the entire parliament has to collectively take responsibility for the follow-up in the next few years.
In 2000, market went up We had about almost 1.5 years of a good run. From 4,300 points went up all the way to 13,500. At that time, interest rates were low, taxes were low, and all the companies were making very good profits.
Newsline, Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. on TV1.
ICC ලෝක කුසලානේ සඳහා සුදුසුකම් ලබා ගැනීමේ තරගාවලියේ Super 6 වටේ නෙදර්ලන්තය සහ ඕමානය අතර තරගය හෙට උදෑසන 11:30ට TV1 ඔස්සේ.
Welcome back. You're with news first. Sri Lanka booked their place in the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 in India in October with a resounding 9-wicket win over host Zimbabwe with nearly 17 overs to spare at Bulawayo on Sunday.
The Lankans kittled Zimbabwe out for just 165 in 32.2 overs and then rattled up 169 for the loss of 1 wicket in 33.1 overs in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier Super Sixers match. Mahesh Theekshana was adjudged man of the match for his devastating 4 wickets for 25 runs. He was supported by Dilshan Madhushankar, who took 3 for 15, with Mathesha Pathirana grabbing 2 for 18.
It's a bad end to the Zimbabwean.
Pathum Nisanka smashed an unbeaten 101 off 102 balls, inclusive of 14 boundaries, supported by Dimut Karnaratne with 30 and Kusal Mendis with an unbeaten 25.
One bounce for 4, a second ODI 100 for Pathum Nisanka.
Sri Lanka is leading the points table with 8 points and a high net run rate of 1.817, with one more game to play versus the West Indies, which has now become a dead rubber.
Also in local news, the Welfare Benefits Board will release a list of beneficiaries eligible for the allowances for the differently abled, elderly and kidney patients on Tuesday.
Member of the Welfare Benefits Board Kamal Padmasiri said the list of beneficiaries eligible for the allowances for the differently abled, elderly and kidney patients has been directed to all divisional secretariats. In the meantime, those who were not included in the Aswasama Welfare Benefits Program will be given the opportunity to submit appeals in August. The process will be carried out based on the instructions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Padmasiri said steps are being taken to facilitate the process as well.
A press conference convened today by the All Ceylon Samud and Agriculture Officers Association and pointed out that there is a doubt as to if Samudi funds of the people could be lost.
The fund does not have any money that belongs to the government. Samurdi is the largest fund collected by the low-income earners in the country, and there is more than 215 billion rupees in this fund. The government took 50 billion from this fund during the COVID pandemic and had returned only 7 billion to the fund. The Treasury owes the Samurdi Fund 44 billion rupees. We also have a doubt as to if this money of low-income earners will not be returned back to this fund.
The Batalegoda Paddy Research Institute says that a special team will be deployed to investigate the blackening of paddy plants reported from certain areas in the Batacaloa district.
Reports of paddy plants blackening have been coming in from several areas in Batacaloa. According to farmers, this condition will
இந்த வயல் எப்படி இருக்குன்னு பாருங்க, இந்த நெல்லிகளை பாருங்க எப்படி இருக்குன்னு. இதில் நெல் இல்லை, முழுதும் கருப்பு வரும் பதராக தான் இருக்குது. இதால் எங்களுக்கு ஒரு இதான உபயோகம் கிடையாது. சரியான கஷ்டத்தில் இருக்கிறோம், பார்த்துக்கொள்ளுங்க எப்படி இருக்குண்டு.
இம்பட்டியில் அது இதில் எந்த அளவுக்கு பதராக இருக்குது. இப்படி இருந்தால் நாங்கள் என்ன வழி என்று பிழைக்கிறேன். ஆனால் நான் 50 வருடமாக இந்த வெள்ளாவையை செய்து கொண்டு வரேன். ஆனால் இப்படி ஒரு நிலையை நாங்கள் சந்திக்கல.
After news was exposed this incident yesterday, officers of the Agriculture Department inspected the fields in Vellavali in the particular district under the instructions of the Governor of the Eastern Province. The officers said this condition has been reported from about 3,500 acres in Vellavali, Kalawanchikudi, Pattipalai, Kiran and Vakare.
According to the information we collected, our officers reported that this condition is a result of the increase in temperature. This condition is prevalent in areas where paddy plants are at an early stage. In other areas, harvests are being reaped. This had no effect in those areas. This condition is a result of the paddy flower being damaged. We are conducting tests to check if this is a disease.
Director of the Batalegoda Paddy Research Institute, Dr. Jagat Nanayaka, said that a team has been deployed to look into the situation at paddy fields in Bataclo.
On to business news this evening. According to the information released by the central bank, the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated against the US dollar by 17.6% so far this year.
The rupee has also appreciated by 11.3% against the sterling pound. Against the euro, the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated by 14.5%.
Views were expressed today regarding the reduction of electricity tariffs.
The minister's attempt was defeated because of the Commission's working plan. This minister should understand that the problem here is not whether it is Janaka Rathnayaka or Professor Manjula Fernando. When they become an independent commission, they should have a working plan. The government needs to understand that they need to work according to that plan. Keeping that in mind, the government needs to keep their hands away from the commissions. Additionally, the entire economy is affected by the electricity and the fuel prices. Because of that, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has been given in the amendment of these acts in 2006, in addition to regulating electricity bills, water management and regulation of the petroleum sector as well. Therefore, we ask on behalf of the people for the Sri Lanka Public Utilities Commission to be given the powers to regulate the petroleum sector as well. Ministers, think about this. If you have any underhand deals, you won't do this. If you want to stand up for the people and protect this economy, this must be done right now. At present, a unit of electricity is priced at 42 rupees, but this price includes CEB's inefficiency, corruption, fraud and the failure to implement a proper plan. The CEB has a responsibility to further reduce this price. The government must stand up for this as well.
The Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka has begun rehearsals for Shani Diluka's In Concert, where she will be performing Beethoven's Emperor Concerto at the Lion Wen Theatre on July 8, 2023.
Shani Diluka, a pianist of international fame and honor with countless awards for her contribution to arts and culture, will be performing at the Lionel Wen Theatre in Colombo alongside the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka.
I'm currently here at the Lionel Wen Theatre, where Symphony Orchestra rehearsals are taking place, where Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka presents Shani Diluka in concert. Now, this much anticipated performance will be taking place in Colombo on the 8th of July.
The Symphony Orchestra's program, which is conducted by Dushanti Pereira, includes Egmont Overture composed by Beethoven and Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. At this event, the Symphony Orchestra will also include 2 international professors from the University of Texas.
We're thrilled to be playing with the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka. We're doing a wonderful program of Beethoven and Schubert, and it's been a terrific experience here in the country. The orchestra is full of passion and energy and a love for music, and it really creates a wonderful environment to play in.
The Beethoven Piano Concerto, Emperor Concerto, as well as the Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. These are just major works that are fantastic, and it'll be a great time because the melodies are just simply beautiful and lush.
And even though it's a very classical program, it is extremely tuneful and accessible to all audiences. We are really excited about working with an artist like Shani, and it is a great opportunity for Sri Lankan audiences to witness an artist of that caliber.
Tickets for this much-awaited performance can be purchased at the Lionel Wendt Theatre.
Moving on to news overseas, France has seen a fifth night of unrest with heavy clashes between police and rioters in the southern city of Marseille.
France has been rocked by a wave of protests after a 17-year-old youth was shot by police near Paris on Tuesday, sparking a ban on demonstration in some cities, travel warnings, and reigniting a debate on over-policing in marginalized communities. Some 719 people were arrested overnight, down from well over 1,000 the previous night. Scenes emerged of people setting fires to vehicles and climbing onto buildings with smashed windows, while rioting police officers fiercely clashed with demonstrators. The Paris suburb mayor claims that protesters rammed a car into his house before setting it into fire, injuring his wife and one of his children. He also claims that, quote, it was an assassination attempt of unspeakable cowardice, end quote. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron has cancelled his upcoming trip to Germany as protests continue to break out across France. The trip was cancelled after France experienced its fifth night of protests in the city of Marseille. The unrest prompted a crisis response from French President Emmanuel Macron, who held an emergency meeting with ministers as he attempts to bridge divisions and unite the country in his second term.
Europe's Euclid Space Telescope blasted off Saturday, kicking off a first-ever mission to shed light on two of the universe's greatest mysteries, dark energy and dark matter.
What is dark matter?
Dark matter is a material that cannot be seen directly and which is a component of the universe that can be determined by gravitational attraction rather than brightness. Dark matter accounts for 30% of the universe's matter-energy makeup. The rest is dark energy, which is 69%, and ordinary visible matter of 0.5%. The telescope successfully took off from Florida on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Shortly after, once separated from the rocket, it did its first signal as scheduled. The ESA was forced to turn to billionaire Elon Musk's firm to launch the mission after Russia pulled its Soyuz rocket in response to sanctions over the war in Ukraine. After a month-long trip through space, Euclid will join the James Webb Telescope at a stable hovering spot around 1.5 million kilometers from Earth called the second Lagrange point. From there, Euclid will chart the largest ever map of the universe, encompassing up to 2 billion galaxies across more than a third of the sky. By capturing light that has taken 10 billion years to reach Earth's vicinity, the map will also offer a new view of the 13.8 billion-year-old universe's history.
Ukraine says 8 drones and 3 cruise missiles deployed by Russia were shot down over Kiev and the surrounding area.
Russia has launched an overnight drone attack on Kyiv after a 12-day break, with air defense systems destroying all targets on their approach. This was confirmed by a senior Ukrainian official. US President Joe Biden will head to Europe at week's end for a 3-country trip intended to bolster the international coalition against Russian aggression as the war in Ukraine extends well into its second year. The main focus of Biden's 5-day visit will be the annual NATO summit held this year in Lithuania. Also planned are stops in Helsinki, Finland, to commemorate the Nordic countries' entrance into the 31-nation military alliance in April, and Britain. The NATO meeting comes at the latest critical point in the war. According to its military leaders, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said counteroffensive and defensive actions against Russian forces are underway as Ukrainian troops start to recapture territory in the southeastern part of the country. Jens Stoltenberg, NATO's Secretary General, visited the White House on the 13th of June, where he and Joe Biden made clear that the Western alliance was united in defending Ukraine.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the News First team, I'm Rathnayaka. Good night.